Good morning, students. I am back again with another story from Class 6 Literature. Today I am going to narrate a ghost story. Arey, where are you all running away? Be seated, be seated. Let's find out whether it's really a ghost or not. Have you all seen ghost? No? Then why are you all scared? We have seen ghosts only in movies, books, stories and all. But in fact, in reality, have you all seen ghost? No? So be seated, calm down, and let's see whether a ghost really exists or not. In movies, we have seen two types of ghost, one good, one bad. A good ghost do good things to others, and a bad ghost creates problems to others. And there is one more type of ghost, that is, which never exists. It is only a trap laid by those criminals or culprits in order to scare people and keep them at bay. So now we have three types of ghost: good ghost, bad ghost, and the one that never exists. So, what actually are ghosts? Ghosts are nothing but spirits. We say those who die with unfulfilled desire, with lot of desires in their mind, they roam around as spirits. But none of us have experienced any such ghost. Of course, some do say that they have seen, they have experienced. Keeping all those uh, examples aside, because still there is no scientific evidence regarding ghosts that do ghosts really exist or not. So let's start with the story and see which type of ghost exists in this story. The name of the story is A Ghost Story by C. Milbanks. This story is woven around a cottage in a small village of Sunnydale. This cottage was unknown to the world until Mr. and Mrs. Harper became the tenants. One dismal night. Now, what is dismal? Dismal means gloomy, sad, very unpleasant. That day, the weather was very unpleasant. So, such gloomy night, the couple was having their cups of tea when they suddenly heard some footsteps downstairs. So they both moved downstairs to see who was there, but they did not find anyone. As they turned back to return, what happened? The door shut bang, and the rain started lashing the window pane. The weather was very, very bad, but it terrified them also. They were a bit scared. So they wanted to investigate why all such odd things are happening. So Mr. Harper moves out of the cottage and finds a person standing in black cloak at the back of the cottage. The person's head was covered with hood, so he could not see who he really was. So he asked him, "Who are you and why are you here for? What are you here for?" And the answer that the person gave terrified Mr. Harper terribly. Now, what that person says? He says, "I am the spirit of Sunnydale Cottage. I have been appearing here on the first of every month for last 200 years." Hearing this, Mr. Harper was terribly shocked. His knees were trembling, but still he gathered courage and said, "You are just lying. I have never seen a ghost in my life." To this, the person says, "Now you have met one, my dear close friend." And now Mr. Harper had no way out. He could not go anywhere. Finally, he asked him how he can help him. At this, the spirit says, very innocently he answers, "You can invite me for a cup of coffee." Now, Mr. Harper was a bit relaxed and says, "I have to go and ask my wife Mary before I invite you. And before this, I would like to know your name. What's your name?" To this, the spirit replies, "My name is Williams, Henry Williams." And as Mr. Harper turned back to go into the cottage, the spirit warns him, "I am not going to enter anybody's house like this. I just appear near the fireplace." Now this startled Mr. Harper again. "Why that? What's this?" To this, again our innocent reply comes from the spirit. He says, "As soon as I am due for a visit, the easterly wind starts blowing and it makes me cold. I get very cold. So I prefer staying near the fireplace because that keeps me warm. It's my resolution. So within 10 minutes, I'll be appearing near the fireplace. So better hurry up." Now Mr. Harper goes inside the cottage and talks to his wife Mary. Mary was already standing at the window and waiting for him to return. Now Mr. Mary wants to know who was that person and why was he there for. To this, Mr. Harper gives a cold reply and says he was a ghost of this cottage. And now, what's that? Mrs. Harper thought that Mr. Harper is dreaming. He has drunk. He has been sitting in the pub and drinking all the time, so he has gone crazy, he has gone mad. But Mr. Harper convinces her that whatever he is saying is true. Not only this, he has invited the spirit for a cup of coffee. Now, Mrs. Mary, she started laughing, and suddenly, what happens? The horror situation that you see in the movie appears. The lights start flickering. A strong gush of wind blows down the chimney of that fireplace, and the entire room is filled with smoke. All smoke and smoke everywhere. As the smoke is cleared, what's there? What does Mary see? She sees the ghost standing there in the black cloak. Now, what is cloak? Cloak is a big loose gown worn by people. It's an open robe. You might have seen Harry Potter wearing that. All of you have seen Harry Potter? So the dress he wears is known as cloak. So it's a simple loose gown that the people wear over their body. Now Mary was just about to fall down. Anyhow, she manages to control herself and immediately she screams at Mr. Harper that the next day that cottage is going for sale. Mr. Harper tries to convince her a lot that they have just moved in and they cannot leave the cottage in this manner. But Mrs. Harper was not ready to listen to anything what Harper said. Even Ghost was happy to hear this. And next morning, the cottage was put on for sale. As the for sale board was put up outside the cottage, a person in black cloak again office of the building society on Sunnydale High-street. And now he was inquiring about the cottage that was on sale and was ready to pay whatever amount the tenant asked for. And now this clerk hands over him to the form and the house was sold. While filling the form, the person enters his names as Mr. H. Williams. Who was Mr. H. Williams? The ghost. Now, have you ever seen any ghost going to the office and purchasing the cottage or a house? If it's a spirit, he will simply stay there. If he doesn't want anyone to stay there, he'll scare them and just um force them to leave the house. Have you seen any ghost purchasing a house? So it was simply a trap laid against Mr. and Mrs. Harper so that they agree to sell their house. So, students, when you grow up and when you face any such situation, please go through in detail before taking any decision. And just hearing the word ghost, just listening to the word ghost, don't be scared, because the more you are scared, the more they scare you. So be happy, stay safe. Thank you.